Somewhere near the dungeons, a female Dullahan was taking a stroll. Suddenly, she trips against a stone and loses hold of her head. She tries searching for her head but to no avail. Just then, another Dullahan passing by notices her head. They pick it up and hand it over before going their way. The female Dullahan is so charmed by the other Dullahan that she keeps staring at them in awe, only to notice a glass bangle accidentally left behind by them. The female Dullahan takes that bangle to Egin and tells him about the incident that took place. The reason for her to tell him about this incident was because she had fallen in love with the other Dullahan and wanted Egin to find him for her. On the other hand, Egin and Saille were quite calm in front of a Dullahan as they had learned not to look directly at a Dullahan. Sitting leisurely next to his throne while the Dullahan's head rests on the throne, Egin asks the female Dullahan for an appropriate reason for him to help her. And so, she shows Egin a picture of the person she had previously liked. This guy was the same person who was paired up with someone else by Egin himself. The female Dullahan didn't think that she would fall in love again, but then she had now met her own prince. Egin, not wanting to be bothered with helping the female Dullahan, asks Saille to send her home. However, the female Dullahan uses her last resort and reveals that she is a virgin. This makes Saille excited and without any further thought convinces Egin to help the female Dullahan. A glass bangle was their only lead to find the female Dullahan's Prince Charming. Furthermore, the glass bangle being a pricey magic tool, the female Dullahan was worried that someone might steal it if she tried to look for the owner alone. So, that's why she came to seek help from Egin. The glass bangle had been used quite a bit and thus there was a lot of mana in it. So, to find the owner of this bangle, Egin puts a curse on it. While demonstrating its effects on Saille, Egin explains that if anyone other than the owner wears it, the glass bangle will zap them with electricity. As Saille suffers the effects of the curse, approaches Egin who is surprised with the efficacy of the curse, and puts the bangle on him as revenge and makes him wail in pain. With puffed up hairs, Egin and Saille are set on a journey to test all the male Dullahans while the female Dullahan follows them as she trembles knowing that they just want to hurt people with the bangle. After testing the bangle on several male Dullahans and creating a pile of them, they still couldn't find the glass bangle's owner. So, Saille asks the female Dullahan for some more information about the bangle's owner. According to the female Dullahan, she didn't know much about him other than him having a hard chest. When Saille asks about what she will do if the bangle's owner is ugly, the female Dullahan replies with an "it does not matter" expression as she doesn't care what the bangle's owner looks like. Just then, someone claims to be the owner of the bangle. As Egin tries the bangle on that person, the curse doesn't work. Excited to find the bangle's owner, the female Dullahan calls out to the person as her prince. However, surprised by the word prince, the person reveals that he is in fact a girl. The female Dullahan gets perplexed as Egin and Saille mock her previous claims of not caring what the bangle's owner looked like. With a grim and sweaty face, the female Dullahan tries to reason with herself that even though the bangle's owner was exactly her type, she was eventually a girl. Even though she wants to go out with this nice and cool Dullahan who saved her, the female Dullahan controls her thoughts knowing that she is a girl and yells out saying that she can't pair up with a girl. However, in the end, Egin and Saille attend the wedding of these two female Dullahans. Egin doesn't seem to be surprised by the outcome, and Saille rejoices in their wedding as they both will be staying virgins forever. The mandragoras Egin and Saille had planted were not increasing however much they tried. As such, Egin had tried to contact the eastern boss, Oriens, about it, but he never received a reply. Upon examining the mandragoras for a while, Saille found them to be healthy, so it was most likely not a disease. As Egin wonders why the mandragoras were not increasing even after he gave them his mana every day, someone interrupts them. Though at first, they get on defensive mode, Egin and Saille soon calm down after they recognize the intruder as a Bulchin. This intruder finds it annoying when Egin and Saille call her Bulchin and explains that Bulchin is just a nickname for her species, and believing that they must have forgotten her name, she introduces herself as the right hand of Oriens, Orobas the bicorn. Bicorns are horses with two horns sprouting from their head. They are also called Pirasupi and Bulchin. Bicorns are said to sully purity, the complete opposite of unicorns. Even after such a long explanation, Saille addresses Orobas as Bulchin and asks for her reason for being here. Though Orobas gets annoyed at first, she explains that it was expected of their mandragoras not to increase, as they have only females, after all. As Orobas mocks them for not noticing this while claiming to be knowledgeable, Saille calls her laugh awful and holds her horn. With a tight grip, Saille warns Orobas to not laugh as it was her mistake and calls her a homewrecker. Orobas pleads to Saille to let go of her horn as she had the male seeds and asks Saille why she was calling her a homewrecker. It was because Saille had read about Orobas' way of life. According to what Saille had read, bicorns occasionally kill well-natured or wife-fearing husbands, eating them and defiling the newly widowed wife. Orobas agrees that what Saille had read was true, but she would never do such a thing as she claims to be better than a unicorn. And thus, Orobas tries to get Egin to agree with her. However, he's busy playing with the female mandragora and tells Orobas that if she is here to fight, she must go home. Oroba's acts coy as she claims to have come to their place despite the cold weather and requests Egin to give her a cup of tea or perhaps a dozen of cakes. However, Saille is firmly set on making Oroba's leave and offers to give her sand to drink. Oroba's had had enough of the insults, so yells out that she will defile their plants. While Saille claims that Oroba's is revealing her true self, Egin on the other hand is curious about how a female would even do the work of defiling female plants. As Oroba's tries to answer Egin's question, a mandragora comes forth Oroba's and starts spining its stem. This creates a strong wind, making Oroba's skirt fly, revealing her true gender. Egin was surprised that Oroba's could really defile the mandragoras. As Oroba's is embarrassed that Egin must have seen it, Egin puts oil to the fire when he gives a detailed view of what he saw. According to Egin, it was tilted to the right at a 45-degree angle. Thus, Egin concludes that Oroba's is a male. However, Oroba's firmly denies, as she claims to be a full-fledged female. So, Egin thinks that she has both genders. Saille, on the other hand, makes it worse when she holds Oroba's horn and calls her noisy. Saddened by the whole event, Oroba starts crying and proceeds to run away. However, she stops near a cave when she hears someone playfully giggling. The cave was filled with female slime monsters who were trying to lure Oroba's in. It was yet another victim in disguise of a customer. Now, Egin and Saille were at a restaurant called Tsukumi Burgers, where a few mermaids were admiring the burger and a harpy was inviting everyone to eat the burgers and eggs made by harpies at the restaurant. Egin was anxious when he heard that harpies were running the Tsukumi Burgers restaurant, but it seemed to be going a lot better than he had expected. Harpies are monsters with the body and face close to that of a human girl. While one harpy clings to Egin, he tries out one burger. Upon taking one bite, Egin finds the burger a bit off, although the eggs were pretty good. Suspicious, Saille enters the kitchen even after one harpy tries to stop her. Her suspicions are confirmed when she takes a look at the kitchen. When seeing any kind of food, harpies start greedily wolfing it down. They also have a habit of leaving filth on top of any leftover food. As soon as Egin learns the reason behind his burger tasting off was harpies' filth, he spits out the food and yells at Saille for not telling him sooner. Being fairly durable, Saille didn't feel the need to tell Egin the truth. However, according to one harpy, when the harpies gave one burger to a hero, she died instantly. Egin finds this revelation doable. However, he did not come here to eat filthy burgers. There was a report about harpies not increasing, but he had not expected to see no baby chicks at all. Just then, while feeding a bite of the burger to the slime monsters, notices something wrong with the eggs in the burger. So, he asks the harpy if the eggs were unfertilized or were the eggs laid after mating. In a thoughtless manner, the harpy claims to not know if the eggs were laid after mating or not, as the harpies mate whenever they want. And thus, Egin orders the harpy to shut down the shop and stop using their own eggs, as they were not going to sell much anyway. But the harpy rejects his order as she wants to make lots of money and calls him mean while whining that she will sell more burgers. Egin gets angry and starts having a back and forth argument despite Saille's warning to not stoop at the harpy's level. After an hour-long argument, Egin agrees to let the harpies use the eggs only for a limited time, even though he does not like it. He also suggests the harpies to think of a normal menu that doesn't use eggs, because if they only had one product, the customers will get tired of it. The harpy agrees to it as long as Egin helps them think of a menu. Before handling the menu, Egin and Saille start with cleaning the place. However, several harpies continue eating food fallen to the ground and making a mess. Egin's expectations had dropped to hell, so he makes 2 rules and requests the harpies to follow the bare minimum at least. The rules consisted of not eating the ingredients and not shitting in the kitchen. To feel a bit energetic, Egin jokes with Saille as he tells her to follow the rules as well. Meanwhile, he starts checking on the eggs. When the harpy tries to figure out what Egin is doing with the eggs, Egin explains that he is separating the fertilized ones, or the ones with mana, as those eggs probably had life in them. As the harpy gets excited over the topic of chicks, Egin warns her to not eat the eggs and let them hatch, or else all the harpies will die. While the harpy agrees to Egin's words, Egin is busy planning on how to raise the baby chicks. Once the baby chicks hatch, Egin plans to teach them from birth to cut down labor costs, and imagines a future where this burger joint will be the world's greatest. Soon, the burger joint is filled with customers and baby chicks have also hatched. It had been a few months since the chicks hatched and the store was doing well. And the trainees, the baby chicks being trained by Egin, were going along great. Now, it was time for Egin to make another day a success at the Harpy Burger joint, while Saille continues to advertise deadly burgers to heroes. After the success at the Harpy Burger joint, Saille and Egin seem to have been caught in a strange turn of events. To get to the depth of this situation, we must check on the events that happened an hour ago. An hour ago, Egin and Saille were discussing about a room which, when entered, people can't leave unless they kiss. According to the Book of the Other World Egin was reading, you get trapped in a hidden room and can't leave unless you fulfill certain conditions. And the one Egin is making right now is a room can't leave without mating. He will randomly select males and females of the same species and trap them until they mate. As it is a very complex trap to make, Egin requests Saille to not disturb him and starts working on the trap's formation. However, something makes Saille slam into Egin, which makes them fall into the formation and enter the hidden room. Believing that apologizing would help them get out, Egin and Saille try to apologize. However, an eerie text appears on the wall that says you can't leave unless you mate. In the meantime, Saille checks out the bed and seems glad. Egin commends her for being so relaxed, thinking that since Egin had made this room, it would be easy for them to leave Saille as unbothered. However, when she learns from Egin that the magic can't be used in this room, she ruthlessly tells Egin that without magic he is useless, trash, and worthless. Annoyed, Egin throws a pillow at her face, and while sitting down he slowly tells her that to leave this room, he must kill Saille. Saille on the other hand rips the pillow as she claims that it must be Egin who must die. As the battle between the both of them starts, Egin tells Saille that the dungeon will fall apart if he dies. To that, Saille responds that she will simply become a flower shop owner. After a back and forth battle, both stop fighting as they get tired, and Egin remembers that the spell was finished when they were already inside. So, there was a possibility for other two people to come in after them. Just then, a merman and a muscular female mandragora enter the hidden room. Even if Egin and Saille spare the details, the readers could have guessed what had happened. And thus, Egin and Saille were able to get out. The Phoenix Kid, who is a few years old now, is a girl who's still full of energy even after being mercilessly killed. Currently, she was on an errand in a human town. As she passes a store of an old lady, the old lady is surprised to see a young kid doing grocery shopping alone and asks the Phoenix Kid what she was buying. The Phoenix Kid was here to buy apple pie, and since it was a human shop, she hurries away. But before she leaves, the old lady tells the kid that her parents must be looking forward to the apple pie. To this, the Phoenix Kid replies that she doesn't have mom and dad and that she was sent out to buy apple pie them. These them that the Phoenix Kid was referring to were none other than Egin and Saille, as it seemed that her mental age had been dragged down to match her physical one. Seeing that the humans send their kids out for errands, thinking that there was a possibility to spur her growth, Egin sends the Phoenix Kid out for an errand. Meanwhile, the Phoenix Kid had caused a misunderstanding of child abandonment, as she remembers her promise of not revealing her identity and blending in with the humans well. While strolling through the road, the Phoenix comes across a crying kid. It seemed that he stumbled and injured himself. So, the Phoenix Kid gives the kids a phoenix feather to heal his wounds. Even though the mother thinks it is just a kid trying to be nice by giving a simple feather, she is surprised when the kid's injury miraculously disappears. As the Phoenix Kid heads to the shop to get her apple pie, a group of thugs block her path and try to know more about Phoenix Feather. The Phoenix Kid swiftly handles the thugs and gets recognized by the town as a hero. However, the reality was that she had thought every human kid was able to deal with thugs. An old man who tells everyone that she is a hero gathers everyone and begs her to destroy the hideout of the thugs. In the meantime, she just nodded along, and after destroying the hideout, when she goes to get her apple pie, she gets depressed once she learns that the apple pie was sold out. Just then, the kid she had saved and his mother give her some offerings as thanks. Soon after, the Phoenix Kid returns to Egin and Saille with a cart full of offerings from the humans. Upon reaching, she tells Egin and Saille that the humans were building a statue of her in town, and they were also planning on selling meat buns in her image. A few days later, 3 adventurers are fighting the slime monsters in a dungeon. One of them is a female adventurer. Upon saving her from the slime monsters attack, the guy with a dagger addresses her as a princess and calls her reckless. However, the girl acts coy and tells them that she is not a princess anymore but a hero. So, they make fun of her like always while heading toward the next gate of the dungeon. But as the guy with the dagger is about to enter the gate, the girl pulls him back along with the priest guy. It was because Egin and Saille, who were dressed as a doctor and nurse, were about to launch an attack on them. As the girl pulls the guys along, the priest guy tries to ask her about what happened. Suddenly, she comes to her senses and says that she slipped and ended up pulling them on accident. However, the girl was putting on an act of being weak. She further claims to be clumsy as she is still at level 5. But, in reality, she was a hero at level 85 while the other 2 were at level 25 and level 27. According to her intel, the girl had figured out that Egin and Saille were the bosses of the dungeon. So, the girl tries to question them about their presence on such a high floor. Egin and Saille were there to help a monster deliver its baby. Though the dagger guy clumsily congratulates them, the girl reminds them that it is not something to be congratulated for because there will be more monsters. So, the girl pulls them close and tells them that Egin is the boss and Saille is his right hand, who is a unicorn. So, she wants a way to separate them. Even though the information could save their lives, the boys did not know anything and thus apologized to the girl. They were simply not aware that this girl had paid a ton of money for that information. Oblivious to the girl's intentions, the guys suggest the girl to let the unicorn sleep on her lap as unicorns are weak to virgins and won't attack her. However, it wasn't the same for Saille. Saille could instantly smell the pungent odor that reeked of impurity from the girl. To keep her face in front of the guys, the girl unwillingly sits down and invites the unicorn to sleep on her princess lap pillow. Saille spits out in disgust and starts heading towards the girl, our so-called hero. Saille bends over to the girl and tells her that the thing she hates most is sullied women acting like they are still pure. But the dagger guy and the priest guy refuse to believe that the girl is not a virgin. Saille is about to explain to the guys about her definite ability to find virgins. Just then, the truck girl catches Saille's attention and falls to the ground in awe, proving what a true maiden looks like. Somehow, even the girl could feel the currents of purity from the truck girl. The dagger guy and priest guy are commenting from the sidelines, and when the truck girl yells out that she is not a virgin in embarrassment, the guys again pass a commentary that she definitely is a virgin. The hero girl gets up looking beat up and apologizes to the dagger guy and priest guy for lying about being a virgin up till now. The guys fall for her tricks and apologize instead. However, when the hero girl reveals that she is not 17 but a full-fledged woman of 27 years old, the guys are rendered speechless. And Saille, angry with this revelation, attacks the hero girl with her horn to give divine punishment. While the hero girl tells the guys to run away, in the meantime, Egin has already delivered the baby. Now, Egin and Saille are touring around the residing place of the incubi and succubi with the help of a guide of the same species. They are observing an argument between an incubus and a succubus who are over who should get to be pregnant. It looked like the pair was going to split soon, so they decide to move on to the next pair. The person guiding Egin and Saille through the area is nervous and apologizes for being their guide. Egin tells the person to stop acting so nervous and act like the succubus they are. However, the person was currently in their incubus form. Incubi is a male form while the succubus is a female form. They can become either one whenever they want. Succubi and incubi, taking on the form of an attractive member of the opposite sex, they are monsters that seduce people in their dreams. That very ability of theirs is the source of the problem this time. According to Saille, individuals with strong male instincts have increased, and couples have been having fights and breaking up over who will carry the child. And so, Egin created a certain system for this issue, the pregnancy duel. Egin explains that while wearing bracelets, if the wearer displays any female instincts, points corresponding to said instincts will be given to them. If they reach 100 pregnancy points, they are obligated to carry the child. Until more children are here, all of their sexes will be forced to one or the other. And so, Egin puts one bracelet on the guide. The guide knew that he was literally the perfect target, and suddenly an incubus approached him for a duel, claiming to have always been curious about him as he wished to bear a couple hundred of his kids through him. The guide in its succubus form pushes the incubus away. But as the incubus is about to fall, the guide takes on the form of an incubus and saves the other incubus. It was a floor bang tactic rather than a wall bang. Accounting for the concern shown, Egin believes he can expect a high amount of pregnancy points from this. So, as soon as he checks the bracelet, the gray-haired incubus turns into a succubus to take on the pregnancy. While Egin is busy feeling disappointed as it was way too easy, someone approaches them and calls the guide the weakest incubi. These three people were respectively 6 Shots Taka, Big Magnum Masa, and Hundreds Downed Hide. Egin was excited now that it seemed like these duels had just got a lot more interesting. After winning the pregnancy duel, more formidable foes had appeared. Until one of them is pregnant, this battle is not going to end. The guide turns into a succubus and tells the 3 incubuses that she does not intend on doing any duels and is fine being the one to give birth. So, there is no need to force it on her. However, they feel humiliated as they think that the guide does not want to entertain them. So, Hundreds Downed Hide gets close to the guide and tells him to just do it if he does not want to do a duel. Due to Hundreds Downed Hide's sudden touch, the guide turns back to an incubus, which excites him and further claims to show the guide a blissful heaven. However, the guide is not interested and tries to push Hundreds Downed Hide away. But instead of getting angry at the guide's push, Hundreds Downed Hide starts feeling pleasure through the guide's hands. Thinking that he is hurt somewhere, the guide tries to check every spot on the guy's body for some injury. However, it only increases the level of pleasure and the pregnancy points rise to the max, turning the incubus Hundreds Downed Hide into a succubus. Looking upon this situation, Egin asks Saille for her observations. According to her, this situation is what they call the divine touch, a genius talent only 1 in 1,000 succubi have. Saille believes what happens next will be a spectacle. The battlefield's location had now changed to be on top of a bed. It had been an hour since the duel began. So, Egin and Saille checked on how the incubus and succubus were doing. The guide had completely taken over this succubus, 6 Shots Taka. While the 6 Shots Taka kept asking for forgiveness in order to give up, her pregnancy points kept rising. This battle was already over as it was an overkill. However, the guide keeps apologizing, thinking that 6 Shots Taka was not satisfied with someone like him. Egin could see that even though the guide was not deaf, he was just not listening to anyone at all. Egin tries to ask Saille for her views, but she is busy blushing as a horse like her is an absolute greenhorn in this field. Egin, on the other hand, believes that he and Saille must have created a monster that cannot listen to reason. While the guide is taking a break after the bed battle, Big Magnum Masa holds up the guide's hand and warns him to not get carried away. Before the guide could wail in pain, he notices the grip was too weak. The guide wonders if Big Magnum Masa was actually using his strength or just holding back. He found it even weird that he had got this far. These circumstances clearly meant that these people were here to lose against him. Now that the guide looks at Big Magnum Masa again, Big Magnum Masa already looked like he was in love with the guide. And thus, the guide pushes down Big Magnum Masa to the bed and turns him into a succubus too. Afterwards, the duels had calmed down, so Egin wanted to check their numbers. However, upon checking, he learns that there are 20 adult females and 1 male. Without any further reaction, Egin instructs the guide to take responsibility and get all of the succubi pregnant. After the pregnancy duel, Egin and Saille are trying to figure out the state of childcare in the Genkai dungeon. Egin had decided to test out a daycare service, so he instructs the 4 baby monsters to be good. However, when the kids answer with a rude remark, Egin warns them that he has been asked to scold them if needed, and he has permission to do so as long as he leaves them with a third of their HP. The kids instantly apologize and agree to behave well. Soon after, Egin and Saille get busy with reading a book for childcare while the kids play with the slime monster. Though the childcare book was for humans, Egin believed that it would help a little at least. According to a page in the book, losing sight of the children is dangerous and a single unsupervised moment can end them. So, Egin and Saille try to check on the kids, and as the book says, it is all true. The girl with vines ties up the other 3 kids and lifts them up in the air. Later, after Saille handles the situation, Egin and Saille learn that the girl with vines is trying to help the slime monster who was being bothered by the other 3 kids. Seeing that what the book said was true, Egin continues to use the book as a reference. Another page in the book said that guardians must make sure to actively engage with the kids. So, Egin tries to interact with the orc baby. However, the orc baby twists Egin's leg completely. After Egin heals himself and puts up his defense, he reads another page of the book that says, make sure to keep playing with them and also talk with them. As soon as Egin tries to talk with the orc baby, it bangs its head against Egin's chin. Soon after, the succubus kid comes forth and offers to help Egin with the orc baby. Egin warns the succubus kid that the orc baby is not a simple baby, but a berserker drunk on its own power. However, the succubus kid is adamant on helping with the baby, so since the book said to let the kids do things to enhance their independence, Egin hands the baby over to her. Instead of calming the baby naturally, the succubus kid uses her power of charm to calm the orc baby down. While Egin is handling the orc baby and the succubus kid, another kid comes crying towards him. The kid was crying because Saille said that she would not carry him because he was a guy. And since the book demanded to treat all kids equally, and the girl with vines requested Saille to carry the kid for a little while, Saille had no choice but to do as everyone wanted. As soon as Saille agrees to carry him, the boy demands to have a horseback ride on Saille. Egin picks up the kids and is about to put him on Saille's back. But before the kid could even sit on her back, Saille asks for a timeout. Even though unicorns grant the wishes of pure maidens, Saille was having a difficult time fulfilling this kid's childish desire. So, even though it was a bit rough tactic, Egin ties up Saille's hands and neck with chains and makes the kid sit on Saille while she neighs in frustration because unicorns will instinctively kill anyone who is not a virgin. While the girl with vines stares into hell and asks if it is fun, the kid riding Saille promises to not be selfish anymore and begs to Egin to let him down. Suddenly, the mothers of the kids arrive and stare at the situation taking place in disbelief. Since that day, any talks of daycare have disappeared, but any trust in Egin and Saille had long left. That is why one must be careful when taking care of kids. After that unfortunate incident, many days had passed, and now Egin and Saille were at the East Dungeon scouting for monsters. While Egin and Saille are trying to convince a monster to come work at their place called the North Dungeon and claims that everyone in the East is stubborn and straight-laced, and also that the slimes feel more like rocks than anything, someone interrupts them with a loud voice. That someone was the Heavenly King of the East, Oriens, who assures Egin that her slimes are soft. Along with Oriens, there was a plus one. It was none other than Orobas, the Bulchin. After teasing Orobas a bit, Egin gets questioned by Oriens for his sudden visit to the East Dungeon. Egin tells Oriens to calm down and says that he and Saille were here for some scouting. Claiming that they were not tired of getting the monsters to breed, Egin points out that if the monsters from East Dungeon were to work somewhere else for a bit, they will get more experience. So, he offers Oriens to aim higher along with him since they both work for the same master. Oriens agrees right away as she believes whatever Egin said made sense. However, Orobas warns Oriens to not be tricked, so Oriens permits Egin and Saille for the scouting. However, Egin and Saille must receive the consent of the monsters first to scout them. Egin confidently agrees and declares to tell the monsters all about the North Dungeon's good parts. As Egin proceeds to tell the good parts about the North Dungeon, He gets stuck as he finds anything good to say about the North, so he peeks at Saille for help. Saille, with an unfazed expression, simply says it is good up north. And when Egin claims that the North Dungeon is a workplace where everyone smiles, Orobas firmly declares it is a lie. However, Oriens is deep in thought when she hears the word smile. Even when the monsters of the East Dungeon arrive upon hearing the commotion and greet Oriens formally, Oriens simply tells them to mind her and be at ease. Looking at the way the dungeon monsters greeted Oriens, Egin and Saille look back at how their North Dungeon monsters greet them. There was a large difference from their North Dungeon if compared to the greeting manners of Oriens' East Dungeon monsters, because, unlike the East Dungeon monsters, the North Dungeon monsters treated Egin more like a family. That is when Egin's mind clicks and he tells Oriens and Orobas that his North Dungeon is homely. Upon deep contemplation, Oriens realizes that those are things that she does not have. And so, she worries if all her East Dungeon monsters say that they wish to go north, what she will do. Just then, all the monsters come forth and cheer Oriens up by saying that she is their number one and that they will stay right by her side forever at the East Dungeon. Egin, however, was not ready to give up so soon. So, he uses a tactic of a beautiful boss also known as Saille to lure in the monster to his side. He claims that if the monsters are willing to work alongside such a beautiful boss, they will get to see different versions of Saille, either as a bunny girl, otherworldly uniforms, or maid outfit. Though he claims that the monsters will get to see Saille every day, it was just a half-hearted lie. Soon after, Orobas mocks Egin and Saille for trying a fool's errand and convinces Oriens to get changed too. Some time later, Oriens arrives wearing a very risque swimsuit which increases her sex appeal as well as her followers' loyalty. Egin gets mad at Oriens for her supposedly abhorrent tactics and runs away along with Saille after declaring that his offer still stands. After that, we see Egin sitting in his study and asking Tanaka to get him some tea. Tanaka was a newbie who got scouted because he wanted to see Saille in a sailor uniform. However, he was quite good with his work. Well, here's the video ends, but if you need more parts of this manga then go fast and comment for it.